Welcome back to Sports Will Save Us All. I'm your host, Sasha Graham. And with me in this very special studio today...
It is special.
...is the incredible, the wonderful, the amazing, and the very good-looking Steve Bollinger.
Thanks. Well, and everyone else now can find out, too, because part of being in this new studio, we're going to be on YouTube. You guys could check it out on video, too. So it's really, really exciting.
You know what's funny about that?
What?
I'm like not knowing how I use my hands.
I'm thinking the exact same thing. And there is a really great sports movie Ricky Bobby quote in there. I don't know what to do with my hands.
I don't know what to do with my hands.
While we're being interviewed. Yep.
Well, so listeners, we are leveling this stuff up.
We are.
Because some of you have asked, why aren't we on YouTube? And so I figured we would try it this time. We are going to film the whole thing. Maybe do a little bit of editing.
Okay.
I don't know.
I know. I didn't come camera ready. I thought hair and makeup would be here, so I'm a little surprised. There might be a little glare
you
up
live
top.
Camera ready. You live camera ready, Steve.
But I'm stoked. This is going to be a lot of fun.
It is funny. Like whenever I listen to podcasts, I listen to them like while I'm doing stuff, right? So I'm always walking the dog or I'm doing the dishes or whatever. So it's hard for me to imagine somebody right now sitting down and just watching us talk to each other.
I can't imagine.
So do interesting things with your hands.
I hope things are going really well for you if that's what you're doing. Yeah, please don't watch while you're driving. I don't know if we need to say that. Like, is that a thing? But yeah, let's please be careful.
I mean, that's good advice no matter what the show is, right? Yeah.
Having said that, now I'll definitely watch this when it drops while I'm driving.
Don't say that. Don't say that. That's not even a funny joke.
I'll watch it while I'm surfing. How about that?
What are we talking about?
Oh, we're talking about Blue Crush. We had a recommendation to watch Blue Crush, and so we did it.
We did do it. Had you seen this movie before?
I had not seen this movie.
You hadn't?
I know I hadn't.
How did you miss it? What were you doing in 2002?
2002, I was getting married and finishing up school. And so I just wasn't seeing a lot of movies around that time. Yeah. So it was one of those that I had missed.
Marriage is a movie killer.
Yeah, I know. I think it's good though.
That's a joke. That's not true.
We let it age like a wine.
Yeah,
so that way when I went back to it, the palate was just there.
What was the palette? So here's the thing. This movie, I have a lot of stories about this movie.
Let's do it. I can't wait. I knew you would, by the way.
So I was working at Disney when this movie came out. And the director of this movie is a guy by the name of John Stockwell.
Okay.
John Stockwell, the movie that he did before this one is called Crazy Beautiful with Kirsten Dunst and Jay Hernandez. And that was on Touchstone Pictures, which is part of Disney. So I had actually been his talent handler for Crazy Beautiful.
Okay.
Do you know what that is?
I think you just kind of make sure they're happy.
Right.
Get them where they need to be.
So at the premiere.
It's like get them to the Greek, right?
Junket. Yeah, exactly. So that was me. So I was a publicist. I worked with him. I got to know him pretty well over the course of this. Like, it's always fun, when you work at the studio. Working with the actors is fun because, they're actors and they're high profile. But working with the writers and directors was always especially fun for me because, they were the brains behind the operation.
Right. Yeah.
Presumably. Not that actors aren't brainy, but.
Yeah, we gotcha.
Yeah. Anyway, so John Stockwell, so I knew him a little bit. Well, so then I went to, just as a guest, I went to the premiere for a movie called Rockstar.
Okay.
Mark Wahlberg, Jennifer Aniston.
Oh, yes.
Wait, you do know this movie?
I do know this movie, yes. When you said Mark Wahlberg, yes. Don't ask me to tell you what it was about. I do remember
it was about a rock star.
I kind of figured.
So I'm at the Rockstar premiere with a bunch of friends, just as a guest, just for fun. John Stockwell, it turns out, wrote that movie. So I had just worked with him on Crazy Beautiful. So then I'm chatting with him and my friend Jen Curran was there. Okay, stay with me.
Right, I know it. Maybe we can put a graphic up.
Jen? Oh yeah, because we have video now.
We could do a graphic.
Yes, look it. It's opening doors left and right.
It's like a Game of Thrones family tree.
Totally is. Jen was the bar consultant on the movie Coyote Ugly. That was how I met her. Okay, so the movie Coyote Ugly where they're like, we don't serve water in this bar.
Yeah.
Jen is the one who taught all of those bartenders how to do all that stuff because she opened the bar that Coyote Ugly was based on in New York City. She is a freaking smoke show. She's modeled all over the world. She's awesome.
Got it.
She is also, or was also, an aspiring actress at the time. She's at the Rockstar premiere. So I introduced her to John Stockwell. He said, oh, hey, I'm auditioning for this movie right now if you want to read for it. And the movie was Blue Crush.
Shut up.
Clearly, Jen didn't get the role.
Right.
She read for.
I was going to say, I'm looking down my cast list and I'm like, no, okay.
She didn't get the role, but she did audition for it.
That's
and
awesome.
I think that she actually auditioned for the role that Michelle Rodriguez ended up playing. So
Gotcha.
one of the best friends.
Yes.
I think Eden Eden.
I believe you're right.
Not
yes.
Lena. Yeah, Eden.
Yeah.
Okay. So
Before she started boosting cars.
right.
Fast and
Right, in
Furious.
the Fast and Furious. Yeah. I really like her. I think she's so fun to watch.
Yes.
Yes. That's all you have.
Yes. That's what I've got. There's just so much more. I don't want to start too many segues early because it's so fitting that you gave the description of that story and cited so many other movies that have that mark of the early 2000s.
Mhm. It was a special time.
Low-rise jeans era of
Crossroads. Remember Britney
movies.
Spears
Yes.
in Crossroads with Taryn
This is
Manning?
it, yeah.
It was a good time for movies, I think. So, tell us what this movie is about.
So this
Please.
movie is about Anne-Marie, and
Mhm.
Anne-Marie is a surfer. And in case you miss one of the 57 flashbacks, at one time she hit her head underwater.
Very hard and very audibly.
Almost drowned. Yes.
The sound.
It was like a coconut hitting a reef, some would say.
Very, very much. That's an apt description.
Yes.
Mhm.
And so now she's kind of living her best life in a beach shack, which I'm sure is now $1 million mansion on Oahu.
Mhm.
And just out there surfing, working as a hotel maid. And
Okay, wait. I'm going to call you to task on this a little bit
Okay.
because you say that she's living her best life. I don't think she is at all. She seems freaking miserable.
Okay, so I agree with that. But then
Uh-huh.
at the same time, the article on which this was based
Mhm.
loosely.
Wait, did you do
I did the
research?
smallest bit of research, right? It was more of a
Steve.
kind of romanticized, like this is the surf culture kind of thing. So I
Mhm.
say that in Best Life, maybe with a little bit of sarcasm, but this
Yeah.
idea, I mean, she was living. Yes, it was
She's
tough to
living
make
our
ends
best
meet.
life.
Yeah,
It
she
sounds
was-
amazing.
Yeah, I mean, rent was kind of tough, but
Yeah.
at the same time, I mean, she's with her friends. And it's surfing, and she's got kind of this freestyle life that I
Mhm.
think, some may want to have with maybe being able to pay their bills.
Fun fact.
Let's do it.
That article that you're talking about, I think it was called Surf Girls of Maui,
I think so.
right? It was written by Susan Orlean.
Okay,
Do you recognize that name?
I don't. I know.
She wrote The Orchid Thief that adaptation was based on.
Oh,
Also an awesome movie of this era.
and you met her at a bar
That-
when? I know it's coming.
Actually, no, I've never met
So I
her.
was at a
I would
premiere,
love to. I would
and-
love to. I know. God, I'm just dropping names
You
all over
are.
the
It's so
studio.
great. It's so great.
So fun.
No, I love
Glory days,
it. Yeah,
baby.
and this is her journey back towards competitive surfing
Mhm,
with
mhm.
a really giant, strange love story kind of mixed into the middle, which I know we love to talk about when it comes to sports movies.
Oh, this is just going to be a journey.
It's
isn't
going to be
it?
great. Let's do
Isn't
it.
it? One fun fact before we get started: John
This is probably
Stockwell,
the 10th fun fact, but
who
go
I
ahead.
mentioned. Do you know who he was friends with? I don't know why I asked these
Oh my
questions.
God, this is, we are both in the mood. We started this, everybody's saying we're both kind of keyed up today. Who's he best friends with?
Well, he was.
Okay, tell me Jerry
Because this-
Bruckheimer.
No. Andy Warhol.
Very different direction. Also very cool. Some would say cooler.
Weird, right?
That's really, yeah.
John Stockwell was this international model. The director of the movie was this
Okay.
international model. That's how he got his start. And he became friends with Andy Warhol. And John Stockwell dated Bianca Jagger after she was married to Mick Jagger.
Oh, after or whilst?
After, because there's quite an age gap actually between John Stockwell and Bianca Jagger. He is around 15 or 16 years younger than her.
Okay.
So I think she was married, finished that era. They weren't married for very long, it turns out. Bianca
Okay.
and Mick Jagger, just like 3 years or something, I think.
I didn't research the fun facts, so I'm.
I know, that's what I'm here for.
You're out on your own now.
Color commentary. I got you. Okay. But back to the movie. This is just an aside because I think it's really interesting. Okay, so the movie stars Kate Bosworth
Yep.
as Anne-Marie Chadwick.
Kind of her first big film.
Big film. She was in The Horse Whisperer, which I also worked on. With
is
Scarlett
too much.
Johansson, which was
Glad we're on camera so we can see my eyes in the back of my head.
rolling right back. You just keep
Sick.
doing it. You keep doing it. I'm earning it.
You did.
So she was in Horse Whisperer, but then this was her big movie. And
Okay.
Kate Bosworth in real life was an equestrian champion. She
Oh.
showed horses. I think
Thanks for clearing that up for me. By the
that
way.
if
Yeah.
not everyone would know what that meant, right?
I just like how you grabbed the reins while you did it.
Now everybody can see it.
Yeah, exactly.
Tuck in your pinkies,
Yes.
people.
If you can't imagine riding a horse, you go ahead.
That's English,
This
though.
is too much.
This would be Western. This is English. So she was an equestrian champion. And what I kept thinking watching this movie, because I did see it when it came out, but when I rewatched it for the purposes of talking about it today, I kept thinking she would be great as an equestrian champion because it's such a beautiful, put together, sort of expensive sport.
Right.
Did I buy her for 3 minutes as a professional surfer surfing pipe on Oahu? No.
Yeah.
No. I mean, they said that she put on 15 pounds of muscle to play this role.
Right.
And I was like, what was she, like 80 pounds prior to this?
I get it. I know. Well, and there is a whole batch of data, like, a lot written about her physical fitness for this movie and kind of what it did. She's come out later on and saying that it kind of put an unnecessary spotlight on her body early in her career.
Yeah.
And that it just did kind of send things in a not so great direction very, very early on, being that this movie took place primarily in a bikini.
Yeah.
And, you were outside and it was kind of this whole thing.
We just need to hit that straight on.
All right, let's do it.
So you're going to surf pipe, which is the heaviest wave in the world.
Yep.
In a string bikini. I was like,
I know, Sasha.
I mean, I can lose a string bikini just like walking down the sidewalk, let alone like.
Me too, to be clear.
Let alone like
I know.
wiping out. I was like, what is happening right now?
I know. And I knew it was going to be one of the earliest things that we got into. The irony being, though, is that still some of the wardrobe choices in this movie compared to, and we've talked about this before with other sports and some of the, outfits, costumes, what you want to call it, still had more coverage than some of the things that we see today too. And so I liked that part. I was kind of like, oh, cool. Like we don't have to, we can wear boy shorts and this would be a thing.
It didn't feel super exploitative.
Exactly.
Which was weird.
But sports wise, I thought the same exact thing. Yeah. I was like, I don't wear a lot of string bikinis typically, but I just know enough that I would never go out and do water sports. Put on a rash guard. Yeah, I'm not going to do water sports in that.
Right.
So good. I'm glad we got to it real quick.
Me too. Because there was something really interesting that I thought, and I think that this was a directorial choice, which I appreciated a lot, which is that except for a scene where Kate Bosworth was in a hotel bed,
right,
none of it was played sexy at all.
Yep.
And considering how much time was spent on the beach and in bikinis and, with water splashing and sunlight coming in and surfboards.
There were a lot of opportunities not taken.
Yeah, which I kind of appreciated.
No, I did too. Because
weird, right? Like
no, not weird. I mean, if anybody's listened to our podcast
weird,
before,
like that it didn't come across that way.
Right.
Like that.
No, it was just very wholesome. Like they would just kind of start changing at their house, but there was nothing about it that was gratuitous whatsoever.
Right. Yeah. It was kind of.
I'm with you, but you're not going to go surf and like you're going to have a rash guard on or something.
Right. Or
which she did at the very end,
or
which I thought was funny.
Well, yeah, and they handed it to her at the competition, remember? Like, so it seemed like almost like it was a uniform.
Yeah, it's like getting a bib for a race. I think.
Right. Okay, so the movie starts. As you mentioned, they immediately show this head crack nightmare that inexplicably had taken place 3 years before.
Right.
Well, I mean, maybe that's not the inexplicable part, but the inexplicable part to me was that then over the next week, every single person she saw, like, brought it up.
Yeah.
And I was like, have you not seen her in 3 years? Because it feels like this would be in the rear view.
Right. And it was kind of like a junior surfing competition.
No, it was this same competition, I think.
Because
I think she won the junior competition and then she was at Pipe.
Got it.
Serving
I missed that part.
3 years before.
It's
after
a complex
winning juniors.
plot, so
I mean,
probably...
it's hard to follow.
Yeah.
I understand.
Okay.
You could be
that makes sense because I had some time issues with the movie and trying to figure out how old they were relative to their conversation about being in high school. And then with the younger sister, and that's a whole thing that we can talk about as far as her character. But it was hard for me in this movie to really get a pin on where they were at in their lives age-wise.
Right.
Because at one point they were like, oh, the beer's gone. So I'm guessing they were 21 years old, but that was the only real indication for me as to where they were in life's journey.
They're early in life's journey, I think. I think that's fair to say, don't you think?
I do, yeah. I do.
So there are so many things just like to, at the jump for this movie. She gets up early. She goes and works out. This is Anne Marie, Kate Bosworth.
I noticed. Very vital to successful surfing, I would imagine.
I mean, for sure. Like you need that upper body strength. But did you notice, like, when you show the full body from behind, she's doing the pull-ups, and she's, like, doing them like, most of us.
Yeah.
And then suddenly when they show the close-up of her face, man, she is getting in there.
Absolutely. Because she's standing on a stool. Come on. I didn't have to see that part.
She gets back. She writes on her mirror, in lipstick and red lipstick.
I noticed that too. Odd choice.
7 days to pipe.
I had her more as a dry erase young woman.
Yeah. Lip gloss at the most, which,
Yeah.
wouldn't show up on the mirror. So I guess that's an artistic choice. So then she discovers that it's double overhead. So she goes and wakes up everybody in the house, and they're resisting getting up. One is her 14-year-old sister, one is her friend Lena, but when she says double overhead,
everybody goes.
Yeah,
you can't miss double overhead.
And then she goes out to like the shop, and her friend Eden, is out there shaping a surfboard.
Mm-hmm.
And first Eden resists going, and then once she says double overhead and perfect pipe, then Eden is all in. I felt like this storyline of her being a surfboard shaper was something that maybe ended up on the editing room floor.
Yes.
Did you get that?
Well, yeah, because I just don't see that as being a real affordable hobby.
Mm-hmm.
And so it seems to me that's like maybe some more of a profession.
Right.
Yet we were also working at the hotel as a maid,
Uh-huh.
housekeeper, I think is the right way to say
That's
it.
how we say that now. Yeah.
And so, I thought the same thing too. I was like, oh, cool. So like she's the one who crafts the boards and she's going to make this amazing board for her for this competition. And we just never went back to the fact that she was making surfboards and then just never did it again.
At the very end, she makes some comment to like the Billabong sponsor and says, hey, I have some boards to show you. And I thought, oh, that's where it was supposed to come back around, was that this was supposed to be like the big break for all of them because, she's selling surfboards now and Anne-Marie has a sponsor and the whole thing.
There was going to be like a where are they now thing at the very end of it probably. And she was making surfboards, but they didn't do it.
That would have been fun, actually.
It would have been fun.
Huh, I would have liked that.
Right?
Yeah, it's a shame that wasn't there. So...
Yes, that's the thing that would have made the difference.
I have so many notes.
Let's do it.
I have so many notes as far as like things that would have made this movie better.
Right.
So they go out, they perfect pipe this day. So one of the things that was amusing to me that we just don't see very often anymore in big studio movies is that it's so clear that this whole scene was filmed on different days.
Right.
Like the sky in one scene is completely stormy, and then there's a reversal and the sky is crystal clear.
No, I know it.
It's just beautiful.
The other, so I was paying an unusual amount of attention to all of the other people in the water.
Mm-hmm.
So and then they would do little cut scenes too of like somebody surfing, some other just, untitled character.
Right.
And that was amazing too, because in the background you would sometimes see lots of people. And then sometimes you would see
surfer continuity issues.
Oh yeah, surfer continuity issues 100%.
That would be a hard thing, wouldn't it?
Yeah, how are you you're dealing with nature. I don't know how you ever could, really.
Well, you're dealing with two things, nature and surfers.
Yeah. A force of their own.
Right?
What caught my attention here, the note that I have from that scene is there was a person surfing with a dog on their surfboard. Mm-hmm. Do you think dogs like surfing?
It takes a special dog.
I mean, truthfully, the dog looked terrified in the movie. It did not look like, I've seen the dogs that look like they're having fun.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It was something that I don't think in 2025 we would have gotten away with putting that dog on that surfboard.
Nope. I think that you're probably right. The thing that struck me in this scene was how mean all of the locals were to Anne-Marie and her friends.
Yes.
Like they show up and I was like, why is everybody in such a bad mood? Like you're surfing.
You're living in Hawaii. It's paradise.
It's supposed to be fun.
Yeah.
So one of those guys, not surprisingly, based on the line delivery.
Knows one of them.
No, I don't. I do know some stuff about him though.
Okay.
All of those guys are actual surfers, not surprisingly.
Right.
They look like surfers. They talk like surfers. They act like surfers.
We can say it.
Right? One of them, the very first one, who says to Eden, I think, does your girl have her head on straight? Right? Again, this is 3 years later. Like, have they not seen her? Whatever. And then, it's that painful response where Anne-Marie was like, you know it.
I know.
It hurt me.
It was really bad. And the overuse. So I don't know how many times I started counting and I got to like 5 or 6 and I stopped where it's going off.
It's going off.
Going off was used an inordinate number of times.
There were a lot of drinking games that could be like designed around this movie.
Yes. Mm-hmm. I think it has a strong future actually maybe in that, but
people love this movie. Like it's this cult classic.
It is. It is. And I get that to an extent, right? Because it's like the other movies we've reviewed in this genre. Mm-hmm. It's campy. It's got some silly stuff to it. Yeah, I own it. Yeah, stick it.
No, Stick It is not in this category. Stick It is an upper echelon.
Okay.
I would say art piece.
Art piece. Got it. Excellent.
Yeah.
So I stand
Cultural
by what
relevance.
I said originally. But, you know, it does have that kind of nostalgia, especially going back and watching it. Like I was like, okay, I like the soundtrack. The clothes were
Lenny
reminiscent
Kravitz
of the
is on
area.
it.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
I was into that part of it for sure. And I was fascinated looking at just kind of knowing a lot of the controversy that surrounds the island of Hawaii now and land ownership and stuff. Like there was actually some early tells of that starting out. And I can only imagine what that's like now.
So one of those guys that's really mean, one of the locals that, you know, waste of a wave, that guy.
Yeah.
He actually founded the Wolf Pack in Hawaii, which is one of these gangs of locals that beats people up when they come and try to surf at local surf spots. Like there's all these articles about this guy. And then I realized I bet they had to put him in the movie.
Probably so.
Right?
Yeah.
It's probably one of those gateway things where it's like, unless you like go and talk to whatever.
We're going to block your waves or whatever they were doing out there.
Yeah. I'm trying to remember. Kala Alexander.
And he's a surf gangster.
I mean, like seriously.
For
like,
a group of people that you traditionally think of as just being so laid back. I wouldn't have
so
said there
much.
was a gangster subgenre of surfers ever until you said that right now.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
You didn't know about this?
No, I didn't know it at all. I mean, I could see like the territorial, like, hey, get out of our area kind of thing. But to have an organized, okay, I just don't find surfers to be organized. Maybe that's what it is. But, you know, like this idea like, hey, let's get the boys together and go rough up these people who are in our surf spot.
I mean, I think that they kind of come to you. You know, like you're out there and you see Steve paddling out like on his longboard.
No, I mean going to get his boys to go beat him up, right? Like,
well, but your boys are already there.
Let's get
like,
6 or 7 of us together. Yeah, I guess so. Like, hey, you just I don't know, but they named themselves, so there is some level of organization.
Yeah, no, I think
the
it was
Wolf Pack.
Yeah, the Wolf Pack.
Come on, guys, you can do better.
Well, I mean, but remember, it was like the 90s.
Yeah.
So you know, Wolf Pack was pretty cool.
Was it?
Yeah.
Okay.
I feel like it's still kind of cool, but yeah. Okay, so one of those guys, the very first one who I was talking about, his name was Tamayo, and his real name was Tamayo Perry. He was an actor in Pirates of the Caribbean. Also, he's was a really well-known surfer there on Oahu. He's the local. He died in a shark attack. June
Why are we laughing? This is terrible.
Because I realized that I built that up like it was going to be something fun. Right. And now I'm laughing because I feel so bad.
We're trauma laughing?
Yeah.
Is that what it is?
Yes.
Yeah. And he was in Pirates of the Caribbean. So like there's just a lot of foreshadowing here.
Yeah. So that's not a fun fact. That's just a fact.
That's a sad fact.
Yeah, that's
what
a sad
we call
fact.
that, Sasha.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry about that.
Turn that page.
We're going to edit that part out because that was horrifying what I just did.
I don't know what.
I don't know. It's the video.
No,
it's the video. I don't even know what I'm doing.
Yeah. These movies in the early 2000s, like they put us in a weird spot.
It's so true. It's so true. So then they drop Penny. So you alluded to the fact that Anne Marie is raising her 14-year-old sister.
Yep.
They have to take her to school after this. They get to school. She's late for school and the principal or somebody comes out and gives her a hard time. And, you know, you see sort of the pressure that Anne Marie is under and she's raising this kid and they don't have a lot of movie. They don't have a lot of money.
No. They don't
Probably
have a lot of movie either.
Yeah. Yeah. And then they go to, I think it's on their way to work. They stop at a gas station and they see one of these professional surfers who has come in for the contest, right?
Yep. Signing some autographs.
Yeah. And this is the first time that you get what I think is a very overt female sexual tension.
Okay.
Much more so. And this, I suspect, is why it's a cult classic. Because the chemistry between Anne Marie and her girlfriends and this professional surfer who sees them at this gas station, who's got like her little wolf cut and she's pretty butch. The tension between them when she's like, surfer girls, local surfer girls. It's thick.
Yeah, it was. I thought the same thing too.
Yeah,
I did.
Way more fun than when she meets this quarterback from the Vikings who she has no chemistry with and yet inexplicably almost throws away her chances.
I know. To go
get us there. Get us there. Talk about the hotel for me.
We're gonna get there. I have to go back to the school scene.
Oh yes.
And this is completely personal, and
we don't talk about personal stuff on this podcast.
We're gonna have
definitely not your own history in Hollywood.
No. So, the principal in this movie,
yes,
I believe to be modeled after my very own uncle, who was a principal in Hawaii. I have no facts to substantiate
Why is this the first time I'm hearing you had a uncle who was a principal in Hawaii?
I watched this movie and I saw the principal come on and I was like, that is my uncle. And it blew me away.
Weird.
I mean, and I don't know if they just did a good job of casting somebody who spoke in that very unique local dialect that they have there. But the cadence and timbre of the way he talked, the things he said, the way he dressed with his big mustache, I am telling you, I think someone who's involved with this movie knows my uncle.
They went and did like location scouting. Are you sure it wasn't your uncle's school? Was he a principal on Oahu?
Yes.
So maybe it was just his school. And
somebody
are you
saw
sure
him
it wasn't your uncle?
It was not my uncle. That I know for sure. But it surprised the hell out of me.
Weird.
I was like, I literally wrote down, the principal is Uncle. I don't know if I'm going to say his name or not because I just feel, I don't know. He probably doesn't listen, but you never know.
Well, I think that's
it wasn't
compliment.
a bad casting. Yeah.
No.
So Uncle Tim. Yeah, I think that was
there we go. Oh, you dropped it. Name dropping Uncle Tim. All right, Uncle Tim, let us know. Did you have a contact from?
I'll text him. I'll tell him. I'll say, hey, I got to know.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
Huh.
Okay, so we're getting to the hotel. We went to the gas station to buy a really healthy breakfast of Twinkies. They asked for the locals discount. No discount on junk food, girls. We know this.
Yeah.
And then they went to work and they started cleaning the Pro Bowl players' rooms.
Right.
Which were just atrociously dirty in the way that most professional football players apparently do. It was a weird trope. It really was. Yeah. And I didn't love... So like talking about their relationship and how that all happened, I thought it was done in a reasonably innocent way, but I also left feeling a little icky with just like how quickly, like it just didn't seem to really, I don't know. It didn't feel exactly right.
Are you ready for my fix?
Do it. How are we going to fix the movie?
Because I have one. So sports fam, if you haven't seen this movie, what happens is Anne-Marie is a housekeeper at this hotel with her two best friends. She and her friends are grossed out because these players have trashed a hotel room. One of the things in this hotel room is a used condom. She marches down to the beach with the used condom in her gloved hand, and she finds the player who's staying in the room. She scolds him in front of the whole team, shows him how to throw a condom away in... Do you see my hand with the condom?
Yes. No, we all do, actually. Just be ready for that. I didn't want to say anything, but yes.
And then she loses her job.
Yep.
The quarterback of this football team, who seems about as much like a quarterback as I do, he hunts her down later and asks her for surf lessons. He doesn't get her a job back, which that would have been maybe more helpful.
Right. No, it's true. He did apologize. So, I mean, they tried to give him some endearing qualities, right? He's like, hey, these are the people that I work with. Shouldn't, I mean, it was kind of there. But then it just immediately came into like, hey, how can I extract utility from this very new relationship with you? I would like surf lessons.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Weird. Here's how you fix it.
Okay,
because then there's so little chemistry. Like they have this like supposed whirlwind romance.
Yeah.
What if he had been somebody she had gone to high school with? What if they had been high school sweethearts? She had stayed in her hometown. He had gone off into the world on a football scholarship. He now is playing professional football. She hasn't talked to him.
Yes.
He comes back. So they have all this history, right? It would have upped the tension so much.
Yeah.
And you could have done it like that. Like it wouldn't have had to be complicated.
Sure. Oh my gosh, is that you?
Right?
Yeah. No, I know it. No, that is a really good point because it just happens. It's like one surf lesson, and it's not even the physical part of it. It's that you're honestly asked to believe that there's this deep relationship after spending a couple hours surfing together.
Right.
And it's just, sorry, sports fan, that's not how life works.
I mean, and sometimes I would have believed them being really attracted to each other.
Right.
Like, they're both young. I think she's gorgeous. He's okay. The guy who plays the love interest, Matt, he is the guy who played Warner in Legally Blonde. So he plays like the bad boyfriend who goes to Harvard and Legally Blonde. If you haven't seen this movie, I'm sure you've seen Legally Blonde because
I would think so.
Yeah, I would think so.
It fits our audience demo for sure.
Totally does. So anyway, that would be my fix for this, because then all of this tension, right? Of like he went out and made something of himself and she's still here back in her small town and she's kind of embarrassed and he knows about her mom who's a deadbeat and ran off.
And it would have tied into this idea of where it went, which was it starts to make her question her commitment to her sport.
Right.
which would make more sense if there was this history of relationship.
Totally.
But I just don't at all believe that someone who almost drowned, by the way,
3 years ago,
surfing, would just so easily give up on that idea for somebody that she met for, I mean, I don't care how bad of a story you write.
Right.
You know, there's like, let's give her a little more credit. She's not just throwing this all away for this guy after a swim lesson or after a surf lesson.
Or a swim lesson.
Yeah, either one.
Either one.
Yeah.
I mean, who knows? Does he know how to swim?
Yeah.
Who's to say?
And then it was kind of cringy too when like he was paying her for the swim lessons and she was like, "Are you trying to buy me?"
That was horrifying. That
had a really weird
prostitution vibe.
It did. Yeah. Like it made me a little bit, and that to talk about things that made me uncomfortable. I did not like some of the liberties that I thought were taken with the scenes involving her younger sister.
Oh yeah.
It was weird. I mean, nothing overt and bad. And I know she was, into drugs and hanging out with the wrong people, but I thought there was certainly more physical contact with a young actress than you would ever see in a movie right now.
Yeah.
It was a little icky and just kind of weird.
I will say that thanks to the younger sister, we did get one of my favorite parts where Anne-Marie goes in and finds that her sister has made a bong out of an orange or something.
Yeah.
And if that isn't like 90s, early 2000s nostalgia, I don't know what is. Kids these days, like, they don't even know.
Yeah.
They don't even know. Making a bong out of an apple. You're just not even going to pick that up.
No, I'm going to pick it up. Yes. Did I do it? No. Am I aware of the technique? Yes. So I thought the same thing too. And then the emphasis on the ashtray, right? And when it was just like, how bad can we make her? Ooh, the beer's gone. So we didn't see the beer there, but the beer's gone. There's cigarette butts and a makeshift bong in her bedroom.
I mean,
and then we find her at a really bad party.
Going down the wrong road.
Yeah, with her red Solo cup.
And these older guys with their arms around her.
That's what I'm talking about. That was what made that was the only part of that movie that I definitively was like, yeah, you can't do that.
Yeah.
Like that we have left that era.
I do feel like 14 in 2000 is different from 14 now, right? I think that we protect childhood, or we try to protect childhood a little bit more now.
Well, and there are movies about young people making decisions, and if we were watching a film about someone who was just going down this path and that's what the story was about.
Yeah.
I mean, those movies exist and I'm okay with those movies artistically. This wasn't an art film where we needed this part of it. It was just a weird grown man picking up a girl in a bikini. And it just, I was just like, no, this is not, we don't need this. No. Like, this is just not anything. I don't know. I didn't like that part.
Yeah. I mean, that's one of my fixes actually, was to just take the sister out of it altogether. It felt unnecessary. I understand that like they were trying to up the emotional burden that Anne-Marie was under, but it just felt superfluous to me.
And it didn't truly deepen it. Yeah. I mean, like her living conditions and rent and that kind of, that more than did the job of what she was up against with her, family not being around.
Right.
We didn't really need it.
I agree. No. I agree. It made it a little strange. So then after he pays her in advance $1,000, which P.S. like he says this like supposedly like cute thing where he's like, I gave myself a $50 discount for paying up front. And I was like, okay, girl can't afford breakfast.
Right.
You're a professional football player.
And somebody mentions he's on a $10 million contract. Like, cough up the $50.
Cough up the freaking $50.
I know it.
Loser. Like, what the heck? So she gets home from this because, spoiler, she stays over with the football player who she's known for like 24 hours, literally.
Right. With a perfectly executed ocean lovemaking cutscene. So they're in the they're in the room.
Executed.
Oh no, in that it's terrible. Like it's just, they're in there, they start kissing, and then all of a sudden you go out the door, there's the ocean. And it's the ocean, and then you wake up and everybody's in their bed and they're angelic
as a metaphor for orgasm.
Yeah, I was just like, okay, cool. Like, I've seen this.
I was just
my notes are very different than Sasha's notes, by the way. I'm like, oh my gosh.
I was astounded by how unsexy all of that was. I am all for like a great, romance on screen.
Here we go.
And I didn't buy it. I did not buy it. So she gets home from this. She gets back to her, place where she lives with her roommates, and Eden is there, and she is really pissed. And what she comes across as is jealous. Right. She comes across like, and I was like, I get that. So, and then she says, because Anne-Marie gives her the money, gives her the $1,000 and says this should cover rent or something.
Right.
And Eden says, I feel like your pimp.
Right.
And I was like, okay, I'm not sure you know what that word means because like you would have had to whatever. But like it did sort of allude to the fact that what is he paying you for? Like
Right.
he stayed over at his hotel and he gave you $1,000.
Right. Oh, I know. It was another one of those little ick things. It really was.
It was a big ick thing.
And I did not pick Eden as being the one in charge of the finances in their house.
Right.
I just didn't.
Yeah.
I don't know why. But
yeah, it was a strange thing. You know, the other friend, Snow Lake, she actually was a surfer, or is a surfer, presumably, but she was a surfer at the time and a Billabong. She was one of the first Billabong girls. So like when all of this Billabong stuff, like she actually was a Billabong girl during this whole thing. And
that's so funny.
Yeah, I think she also would have been better as
I was looking for my Billabong t-shirt to wear today.
Oh, that would have been
I'm wearing Hurley though, so I had to go with the surfing
Good
theme.
job.
Yeah, I know.
Good job.
I also tried to find a Hawaiian shirt, not gonna lie, but it wasn't too flattering this morning.
Oh, yeah.
Just wasn't feeling it.
I understand.
If it was July and I had more of a tan, I would have been all right. We can talk about this stuff now because we're on camera. It washed me out. I put it on. You know what I'm talking about.
It see how pale you are. Yeah, no, I accidentally put on nighttime lipstick today.
Oh.
Yeah. Do you see it? How bright it is?
It's wonderful.
Thanks.
Let's just build each other up.
Let's just pretend like it's nighttime.
Right.
There we go. I'm wearing appropriate lipstick.
It is nighttime. What are you talking about, you crazy person?
Back on the relationship between Matt and Anne-Marie. He invites her to this team dinner at this luau. He gets her all dressed up. He buys her a fancy dress. Her roommates and her sister give her a hard time.
Yeah.
She gets there. And what happens?
Well, she excuses herself to the restroom. And then all of the NFL wags. Yes, I knew there was a term for it.
Yeah. Wives and girlfriends
are talking about her and how he just loves to find people and dress them up and kind of rescue them and alludes to the Denny's waitress.
The Denny's
I believe.
waitress. It's a big deal.
Yeah. And she overhears all of it. And so then she comes out and confronts them and I'm all excited about it. Then she inexplicably gives him her shoes.
Because one of them said she thought the shoes were cute.
Yeah, but I also didn't think that was the power move I was expecting from her. And then she went and walked into the ocean. Yeah.
Yeah, it was very mermaidy, right? Like it was very splash.
Yeah, I wish I could say I was wrong, but no, that's what she went and did.
She went and I thought, boy, they are going to now think you're real weird.
Right.
As you walk into
She just had to get back to the ocean.
Yeah.
The place that she's been terrified of for the last 3 years when she hit her head.
Right. I mean, to be fair, there weren't any waves. Like it was a little lagoon.
It was in a lagoon.
It felt very safe.
Very calm.
And it was very bright. Like there were lights or something.
Maybe.
Yeah, underwater lights somehow. But in the water, he then chases her into the water.
Yeah,
he
took
gets
his
all
shoes
wet.
off first, though.
I mean, that was smart.
Weird shoe thing in this movie.
Yeah, a lot of shoe issues. But so he gets into the water and he's like, "What is happening?" Like I thought everything was going great, and she tells him.
That's what he asks, by the way. He doesn't say, "Why are we standing in the water?" It's like, "Oh my gosh, what's wrong? Are you okay?"
She says to him that when she ordered room service in his room the morning after they hooked up, that the guy on the phone called her Mrs. Tolman. So his last name is Tolman. And I didn't correct him because I liked the way it sounded. Okay. So I want to note, I went back and I checked. They had known each other for 3 days at this point.
Right.
What?
I know.
So back to my note, like if they had been together for 2 years in high school,
no way.
This would have been so much better. But 3 days, like
I'm gonna
she
say
just sounds like a whiny little brat.
I know. Yeah. What is it? Stage 4 clinger. I mean, like it's just it's too much.
Yeah.
In talking about him in this whole relationship, I want to give him a little theoretical grace because I think
it's important for fictional characters.
They did a real disservice by him not more adamantly telling her to go do her sport. You're telling me there's a top of his game NFL quarterback who is successful and at the Pro Bowl. So I mean, he's not in the Super Bowl, but he's at the Pro Bowl. And he's going to even remotely allow you that. I mean, you would. What a great opportunity to show a really cool male character in this movie,
right?
Who's just like, dude, you got to just go slay this
and we
thing.
get that at the end, which turns out to be one of my favorite scenes in the movie, which is so we do get there, but
we dismissed so many opportunities because we got there,
and
he's just like, I didn't think you were the girl
who would ever ask a guy what to do.
What to do.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, cool. Like we have one throwaway line that's powerful, but like we didn't develop this at all.
But he has to point it out to her.
Right.
Like, how much better would it have been too if she had just been like, I don't freaking ask guys how to run my life.
Right.
Like,
and this was after she'd already started the competition, right? Wasn't this when she was in?
No, this is when she was out catting around instead of training, and Eden was so mad at her.
Okay.
Yeah.
I know they also had a good, like a heart to heart after her injury.
That's what I mean. Yeah. And that scene. So the contest happens. So they get to the contest, and I felt like, again, this is another Sasha note. They didn't adequately build the tension here. Like the contest felt like it didn't matter.
It was as far as climaxes go, very poor.
Right.
It really was. Because it was just like, and I mean, we all knew she was going to miss the first wave.
Right.
Everybody knows that.
Right.
But then when you've missed like your fifth wave, even as watching a fictional movie, I'm kind of like, let's put a freaking bow on this movie and get it catch a wave. We're going to have to do something at some point here. And, to then get one, get hurt. All right, I get it. We've been foreshadowing this the entire movie with all the scenes of her hitting her head.
Right.
And then my favorite part of the movie, in the medical tent, someone apparently breaks her neck twice.
Did you see the back of his shirt said chiropractor?
I mean, violently broke her neck twice.
Awful.
And then gave her a pack of ice for her now broken neck. There was no indication leading up to this that she had actually hurt her neck. Nothing about her spill said, oh, it's a neck injury. And then we're going to lay you on top of this ice bag. I was dumbfounded that made it into the movie. Like, go back and tell me why we're making surfboards, but do not break this poor girl's neck and then give her an ice pack. She was probably 10 times better before you even got there. I am like unnecessarily fixated on this part of the movie, by the way.
It was hardcore. And, it was in there to show how tough she is and how like serious this was and how, I mean, I understand why it was there, but it was absurd. It was absurd. I was thinking this is how people end up with, neck injuries for the rest of their lives.
And I think it was the perfect moment for me to realize that this is what happens when someone who loves surfing and sort of likes to film surfing and maybe was kind of on the cutting edge of filming just like surfing videos is allowed to make a dramatic movie.
Oh, yeah. Because he is. John Stockwell is a surfer.
Because it was just... It was like you took a historian who knows a lot about something in history and said, we want you to go write and produce a movie about this topic that you love.
Yeah.
And that is exactly what I feel like we got, which was just like, it's the campy love scene cutaways. It's all of the things that we've pointed out.
Right.
I think are just a testament to that. This started out as somebody who's like, let's go make a cool movie about surfing. They know about the surfing part. They didn't really know about the movie making part.
Right.
Sorry.
I mean, I will say that this did lead to my very favorite scene in the movie. And you know what it's going to be, which is where she's in the second heat. She makes it to the second heat, even though she wiped out. And she goes out in the format of the contest. They're at Pipe in on Oahu and on the North Shore there. And it was
going off, by the way.
It was going off drink. And you go out against one other surfer, right? Like that's the format of the competition. They hit the air horn. You go out there against one other surfer. I will say that waves this heavy, one of the things, because I surf for a long time in Manhattan Beach with my husband. And let's talk about that.
Didn't know, but go ahead.
Wait, you didn't know this about me?
I don't know you're a big surfer. No.
I mean, a big surfer. No. So, when you go skiing and like, it's really fun to ski on like the greens and the blues.
Right.
That's how I like to surf.
Okay. Gotcha.
Right.
Yeah.
So, but one of the things that you know about surfing is that when the waves get that big, you have to be towed in. Like you can't paddle into a wave.
Right.
So like, it's just, there were a lot of things that were whatever.
Right.
But she goes out there and she's against this, what's her name? Keala Kennelly, I think is her name. She's a real professional surfer.
Right.
And this girl is going off, right? She's the one from the gas station, right? Who she had the little moment with. She's incredible. She catches 2 incredible waves.
Right.
She's whatever. And then she goes out there and she's looking at Anne Marie, who has yet to even attempt a wave. And she's like, what you doing?
Yeah. I think she literally said, are you going to sit here like a buoy?
Yeah, are you going to sit here like a buoy? Yeah, I know. It was great. And then what she says, like, there's this real like camaraderie moment and like this, she knows that her place is assured. And she's like, you're running out of time. If you don't catch a wave now, you're not going to get to do it.
Right. Let's go get one.
So she again, to your point, like then she goes and she crashes, right?
Right.
And I was like, no, we could have just ended the movie here. Like she gets the great wave here. She paddles back out. Like she has to show that like she's bouncing back. So she gets out there and Kale was like, all right, let's do it. And so she pushes her into another wave. She gets another wave. And this is the one where she's in the tube. It's this gorgeous thing.
Right.
The CGI in this movie.
It's so bad.
It's so bad. I love it. It's like,
hard to believe it's like the same era as The Matrix, which is like the most cutting edge CGI. And we're like, how
have you watched The Matrix recently? Does it hold up?
It holds up surprisingly well. I mean, it's not, I think it actually holds up really, really well because of the way that they did it. We're going to nerd out a little bit, but like the way that they did that, not being just like 100% CGI.
Yeah,
like, it's
they
not
use
animated.
like cables and, you know,
and just like multi-camera stuff. I think it holds up phenomenally well vis-a-vis Blue Crush.
Vis-a-vis.
If I may be so bold.
That could be like our yardstick from now on.
I think that we are in very
different. So what about
strap.
vis-a-vis Blue Crush, Steve? In life.
I'm getting notes of Blue Crush.
So then Anne-Marie, like they show that somebody takes a photo of her, right? As she's coming out of this tube and she's standing up with her, you know, victorious arm in the air. And then she comes to the beach and she's surrounded by her friends and her sister. And, you know, her sister now is all proud of her. That's my sister. And, right. It's
no more drugs. She did not say that, by the way.
It was implied. It was implied that now everything.
I think she was like, ooh, now I've got money for drugs.
Billabong. She's like, no more bongs.
Mama's getting a real bong. Yeah, exactly. We went to the same spot. Oh, I love it.
So then the quarterback comes over.
Right.
And they have like this.
Because it's got to be about him.
They have this makeout. Okay. Stay with me here.
I'm with you.
So when I was living and working in San Francisco, right after college, my friends and I were at Golden Gate Park one day. And I met somebody, or we all met this guy named Grayson. And this is long before I met my husband, so don't anybody get upset. Okay. We meet this guy named Grayson. And Grayson hangs out with us for the day, and it's this beautiful day in San Francisco. And the next night, my friends were throwing this great big birthday party for me. I think I was turning probably 23 or something at this place called the Blind Tiger, this very cool bar in San Francisco at the time. So we say, hey, come to Blind Tiger. It's my birthday. So night of my birthday, my friend Samantha in particular had been instrumental in planning this whole party. Grayson shows up, and he shows up early. Like I've never seen this guy besides this one day in the park. He shows up early. He stands by me as if he's my boyfriend for the entirety of the evening and thanks people for coming to my birthday party. When I watched this scene, the balls.
Grayson vibes? That's what it was?
It reminded me so much.
Yeah, I paid her $1,000.
Where I was like, wait a minute. Yo, QB, you've known this girl for 5 days.
No, I agree completely. I liked the lineman being there more than him.
Oh, well, yeah.
Because they showed, you know, they were fun. Like they were being kind of crazy.
And he's calling her surfer girl like he doesn't really know her name, right? He's just like, I met you like twice.
That fit the thing, but I was just like, oh my gosh, you've got to be. Any opportunity they had to make it right was just a swing and a miss.
Well, and at one point, like as she's like not taking a wave, they cut to him and he's like, baby, what are you doing? And I was like, wait, you calling her baby gross. Already? Because this girl's
I know.
So gross. I know. So one of the things that she had told him in the lagoon when he asked her what she wanted was that she wanted a female surfer to be on the cover of Surfing Magazine. She said, I don't care. Any woman will do. It would be great if it were me, but any woman would be great. So of course, this photo that they take of her coming out of the tube ends up on the cover of Surfing Magazine.
Do we know if in 2002 there had never been a female surfer on the cover of Surfing Magazine?
No, but that would have been a really good thing to look up.
Yeah.
I wish you had done that.
I'm sorry. That would have involved me watching the movie earlier than yesterday. You know how I roll, Sasha.
On this cover, I paused it. And at the top, it said, free poster, which I loved because that was always the best part of all of those, like Thrasher Magazine and Surfing.
Oh, I know. Every magazine had free posters. So.
Next to it, it said, oh yeah, Mad Magazine.
Yeah. No, I was in a dirt bike. So like in Motocross Magazine, they'd have some cool poster too. It was just a thing of the era, I think.
Yeah, I miss that.
I do too. Huh. It sucks being able to go online and getting any picture I want at any time.
Yeah, but you're not going to post, or you're not going to print it out.
Print it out, large format. I'm going to go do that
11 by 17.
I'm going to go large format a picture.
Bring me one next time. Bring me this poster from Blue Garage. Then it said next to that, top 10 best surf movies of all time. A little self-referential, right? Then it said, The Girls Lay Pipe.
I noticed that part. I didn't have to pause it for that one.
Anne-Marie Chadwick, the new Billabong girl. So it gives us information.
Right.
We know now that she's made it and she's now a Billabong girl. Steve.
I know.
Blue Crush. So much to love, so much to hate. Maybe that's why it's a cult movie.
It is. And I'm struggling with this one. I have to say, for me, it doesn't make the cut.
It doesn't make the cut.
It doesn't.
So here's,
which is rare for me. If ever, I mean, anybody who's listened before or now watched.
Yeah.
I couldn't quite find enough of a thread to even give it the Replacements kind of treatment.
Here's my question for you, though.
Okay.
And I bet you're going to feel the same way as I do about this, which is that it didn't make the cut for me either.
Right.
But I wonder, like me, do you kind of want people to see it anyway?
Yes.
It's weird, right?
Yeah, because it's not bad.
It's sort of like when you go to the fridge and like something smells really bad and you're like,
I'm going to taste it.
You're like, or you make somebody else, you're like, right. Oh, this smells so bad. Smell it.
Yeah. No, I agree, because it's not, I mean, it belongs firmly on the Delta in-flight movie system as something to go kill 90 minutes on your 15-hour journey to Australia to go do some surfing.
You're only giving it 90 minutes on a 15-hour flight.
Yeah,
so you think anything
not even
shorter
domestic.
than that?
No,
like
it doesn't make the domestic cut. It does not make the domestic cut. And this isn't your first, this isn't the takeoff movie. This is like, I've woken up from my terrible sleep and I need something until we land kind of movie. But it does have a place. I do. Like, I mean, it's because it's I like it for the nostalgia of the early 2000s.
Yeah, same.
Like that part I totally dig on it.
Mm-hmm.
It's just I stand firmly behind, this is what happens when you give someone the ability to make a movie about a topic they really, really enjoy.
Yeah.
But maybe not the best movie making. And maybe it's budget. I don't want to put it on the person themselves.
I mean, I thought the movie looked pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, it just didn't have any kind of real cinematic thing to it. There was nothing about it where you watched it and you're like, oh, cool. Like, it wasn't a great movie, but it was fun. Like, it just was.
I thought it was a story issue.
It just ended.
I thought that the cinema was pretty good. I thought the waves, like, you really got the feeling of how horrible.
Did you catch the cameraman in the one shot?
To be with the flipper.
There was a cameraman who was in the pipe, I guess is how you say this, as she was coming in, and there was apparently another cameraman further out. And you see him dive down at the very last minute as they cut across.
I mean, was it during the contest though?
It was. So because, I think they kind of played it off as like, they were airing it on TV or whatever. But it just was like, it was such a quick one. Yeah. I'm like, I think they're just going to say like,
wait, this isn't real?
Yeah, I know.
I was impressed.
Everything about it was real till that moment. That's what spoiled it for me.
I was impressed by the aerial shots though, because like this is pre-drone, right? So they have helicopters out there. What are they doing?
Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
I know it. Well, because they had a bunch of tax credit money. I don't know if you researched that about this movie, but this was the first movie.
You're such a nerd.
I know, right? I love it. So this was the first movie that qualified for a big tax incentive program that the state of Hawaii did to try to bring film and movies. And that's why then from this point onward, you had all of these like Hawaii Five-0 remakes and all of these,
It's why I got to work in Hawaii so much with Pearl Harbor and Lilo and Stitch.
Please do not talk about Pearl Harbor.
Lilo and Stitch and Lilo and Stitch.
Yeah. Not if you didn't know, Sasha worked on movies.
Now you do. Yeah. Now you do.
Yep.
All right. Well, sports fam, here is our request to you. Send us your movie review ideas, your sports movie review ideas. This recommendation came from my wonderful husband who loves to surf. My husband is a dynamite surfer, actually. And he has an ability to compartmentalize. So I think that what he really remembered from this movie from 2002 were the surfing scenes.
Probably so.
Yeah. And he had sort of, let all of the rest of it. I don't know. Or
he watched it at the end of a long flight, maybe.
Or perhaps he did. He was going to Australia.
He was just super
right after he woke up. Yeah. Oh, yeah. There's so many possibilities. So give us your recommendations, first of all. Let us know what you think about this movie. Especially, I am interested in this whole, like, female attraction. Like, is that why people like this movie? Because it's definitely not for the hetero romance that is happening in this.
I would agree.
Right?
Yeah, that there must be something that I don't get about why this is as popular as it is. Because when you Google it, there is a lot of stuff about this movie.
Really is.
There really is. And after watching it, I'm going, wow, maybe that's just the early 2000s when everyone just made a website for everything. But I don't know.
I mean, but there's a lot of, we're reviewing it now. We're going to be contributing to the glut online
If
with
you
our video.
Can't be a part of the solution. There's good money to be made in prolonging the problem.
Well, there you go. Sports fam, you can find Blue Crush on Amazon Prime. I'm not sure if you want to, but maybe you do. We kind of think that you should watch it. Let us know what you think. You can find us on Instagram at Sports Will Save Us All. And like I said, DM us some movies that you would like us to review. Steve, do you have anything to add today?
No.
Our debut.
I think the new
YouTube
studio is
episode?
awesome. It's a lot of fun. I'm excited for this new format. And
Nice.
please, I do want to reiterate, we love movie recommendations from our sports fans. So please give us some recommendations. We're starving for them, and we're excited to get what you get, and we will give it some really strong consideration.
Yeah. So somebody recently recommended McFarland USA. I got a DM from somebody about a running coach somewhere. There have been some requests for Unstoppable about Anthony Robles, who was the wrestler right here in Arizona at Arizona State. So that they made the movie about, right? So we've got a few to work with, but send us your ideas. That is it for us today. We know this has been a long one, but it has been worth it. I will be back next week. Steve won't, but I will be back next week with more stories about how sports will save us all.